감사합니다. And my name's TijonMeir. I'm the head of exterior design here at Volvo Cars. And today I will take you through some of the design thinking and stories behind the development of the new EX30. The EX30 is described as an essential espresso shot of Volvo. It's an intense, small, yet essential. Now, we took all the elements we love about our big SUVs and distilled them to a smaller, more concentrated package. And what I mean by this is that every example here starts with a powerful stance, an impression that you get from a distance. We have very pronounced wheel arches, which help to plant the car on the road. Then, when you look at the overall proportions of the car, we wanted to find that perfect balance between aerodynamics and versatility. For us, every product serves a purpose, and the purpose for the EX30 was a truly versatile, small SUV. Now, through the use of color, pattern, and texture, we've added that extra visual punch to the EX30. Now, as designers, we take inspiration from the world around us, whether that's graphic design, product design, sportswear, even architecture. But in the instance of the EX30, we took a different inspiration. We looked at the movie and film industry and looked specifically at sci-fi helmet design, which has really influenced the front end and the closed shield here that you see on stage. It forms a very efficient yet playful expression. And this is topped off with its own unique rendition of Thor's hammer headlight signature. This helps to create the face of a distinctly electric Volvo. Thor's hammer now is probably one of the most recognizable signatures out there on the road today. And it's a very important part of our brand identity. Our challenge was to create a hammer that's fully legible both day and night. So my task to the team was, how do we do that? Today's signature is very strong during daytime, but at nighttime, when you have the high beam and low beam go on, it's a little less clear. So the first step was actually to compress the hammer and create a hammer boundary of the whole entire lamp. Now this is enabled through high performance technology modules for high beam and low beam. They're placed above and below the hammer in the pocket of the eye. So at nighttime, when the hammer comes on, it's even a stronger hammer impression at night. Now, we wanted to create this feeling beyond its size. And to look at that, wheelbase is something that comes into play. For example, the EX30 has an overall length that is around 200 millimeters shorter than its bigger brother, the XC40, while the wheelbase is only 50 millimeters shorter. The result is opening up interior space and volume to get a surprisingly big environment and size. Now, when balancing out the proportions of the car, we've extended those wheelbase, so we need to increase the size of the tires to balance out that perfect stance. The advantage with larger wheels and tires is to get even more sidewall rubber for more comfort while driving on the roads, even with 20-inch. The black roof will be available as an option and helps to create that graphical punch if desired. Now, during the design process, we get very inspired by Scandinavian design philosophy, and usually the term form following function. Now, that term usually indicates a physical attributed or technical function that follows the design. However, there's also the aspect of visual and emotional design. And this is where the example on the screen here, we start with a monolithic mass or volume when starting to design our exteriors. One of my favorite sculptors is Brancusi. He's the master of the monolithic volume. Very simple shapes, sliced away to show solidity and section. And our surface language follows this same attribute. One of the areas that you can see in the lower half of the door is where we carve that away to show that solidity, to create a feeling of emotional safety. Every detail in this car serves a purpose. That's also one of the aspects of Scandinavian design. A very good example in the front is the contrasting black band that runs throughout the lower from side to side. It visually stretches the car's width, it houses several of the car's front sensors, and it leads into an air curtain at the side below the lamp, which acts as an architectural bridge in the front. Now this air curtain is placed there to enable the aerodynamics and more efficient airflow around the car with such a short front end. And like the front, we have also used strong graphics in the rear. They are integrated cross-car and create a boundary of a shield to stretch the width of the car visually. Even in the upper band, we've seamlessly integrated a flush button for the power tailgate operated function. So a great balance between form following function from an emotional and technical aspect. In that rear of the car, you can see here how it really stretches that width. Now the rear signature is another important part of our brand identity. You always know when you're following a Volvo, right? It has a vertical tail lamp, just as equally important as Thor's hammer about that brand recognition and creating consistency on the road. The rear signature is an important part. And we first introduced segmentation on the C40, then the EX90, as a part of our signature for electrification in a more digital era. We've carried that on in the EX30, where we've now segmented the lower signature of the lamp together to create a pixelated look and to try to combine that homogeneous look between the upper lamp and the lower lamp. Now talking about wheels, we did something a little bit different for electrification. We minimized the amount of size of the wheel offering to reduce complexity to our customers, and we focused on a range of 18, 19, and 20-inch wheels for the EX30. Most of them all come with insert design. Now, the inserts are purposely put there to enable better aerodynamics and flow around the car, which is actually equal to a customer's range. Now, there's a couple advantages to doing inserts. One, it allows us to reduce the amount of aluminum in the wheel. Second, from a design aspect, it allows us to create bigger looking wheels where the spokes go all the way into the center. And third, it gets a very premium and flush look, hiding the traditional bolts underneath. Now, I always get the question, what happens if a customer takes an insert off? Of course, you'll lose a little bit of range, but the designers have designed two wheels in one, so if a customer chooses that, the wheel still looks great underneath. Now, leaving the exterior design, let's move towards the interior and talk about some of the stories and the thinking for the interior design. As this is our smallest car in our portfolio, we wanted to create a big car experience with a spacious feeling beyond its size in the cabin. And with the design theme you see here, we have visually stretched the cabin architecture of the instrument panel and framed it with a beautiful sustainable material, which is highlighted in blue, which runs all the way from door to door, stretching that width. The architecture provides the interior with great proportions and a very light feeling of roominess inside the cabin. Now these two islands hold the large center screen, which is perfectly positioned at your height for glance. The air vents are placed on the side mounted towards the screen and are integrated seamlessly into that structure, reducing amounts of parts, and this means we can eliminate those traditional large bezels that go around air vents and embrace a more modern design approach. This is why we have worked with a simple theme of centralization. It means that we combine several features together to make the interior as smart, spacious, and material efficient as possible. For example, we've been inspired by soundbars and home audio systems. Let's take that soundbar, which is placed up front, as a pure example of thinking differently. Now, we challenged ourselves to think of how we can compactly put a different method of approach to sound innovation on the EX30. We placed most of the speakers at the base of the windscreen in one soundbar. This really frees up other areas of the door pocket, for instance, to really reduce the amount of cabling, harnessing, and give more space in such a small cabin. This is just one example of how we think different moving forward. The central console itself is really smart. It's multi-storage and multi-functionality. There's a sliding cup holder that can extend into a single or double position, and there's even an area for your phone in front of these. Or you can wirelessly charge your phone in the lower console area, and we even have a removable storage box or storage bin in the rear with an Easter egg of Morton the Moose hidden there. I encourage you to go find that later after the press conference. The glove box has also been relocated from side to the middle of the car. Because how many times as a driver have you had to stretch across the interior to grab something out of the glove box, maybe that parking ticket that you forgot to pay, or a pair of sunglasses? Now it's been centralized into the middle of the car and easy to reach for everyone in the car. Now, with a fully electric platform comes some real benefits in the floor. We've designed this area and using that center tunnel to put a storage item or storage area where you can put small items and keep them protected. On top of it, you can store some bigger items like a handbag or a laptop bag. And everything inside the EX30 interior is designed around this complete centralization thinking. You can see this again throughout the entire cabin. What this does to really open up that space for our smallest SUV ever. Now I hope you'll notice something in the unique seat back that we have on the EX30. Now these big pockets on the seat backs were originally designed to store those large maps or atlases, but now with the digital device as our primary source for maps or way to find around, we've integrated a perfect smartphone-sized pocket in that area, so it won't rattle around in that big empty map pocket. This is one of my favorite images of the EX30 interior, shown here in the wool blend and flax material, which I'll talk about in a minute. It shows a true luxurious 5-seat setup with a lot abundance of space throughout the interior. Now when it comes to design choices for materials, we have created what we call rooms. Now a room is a fully curated combination of color, material, and textures. 4 distinct options that offer a customer a choice of expression. And each of these focus on a combination of either a set of natural materials or reused materials. Now mist is our first natural room. It's more natural in terms of its tonality and textures, and the wool blend gives you a warm and cooling feeling by using its natural properties. So when it's cold outside, wool keeps you warm, and in the summertime, it keeps you cool. In the deco parts, we use a flax fiber. Now, the flax is a byproduct of the linen plant. This plant is grown in between food crops and is usually a waste product. But here, it finds a brand new, beautiful purpose in the deco of the EX30 interior. Pine is our second natural room. Now, pine is a dark green. Also here we find the wool blend combined with Nordico and flax deco. Just this time dipped in that rich pine color. Nordico is based on a blend of recycled PET bottles and a bioattributed material from forests in Sweden and Finland. It has very similar properties to high quality leather in terms of the feel and the touch, and is significantly lower in its CO2 footprint. Then we move on to the recycled or reused material rooms. This one we call Breeze, which is a light blue room. The seat upholstery is crafted from 100% recycled polyester material, made from PET bottles and industrial grade materials. We use a 3D knitting technique here on the seat backs that minimizes material waste from the start. So you only print and knit what you need in the seat with no leftover material. This process enables us to create a beautiful gradient and patterns that give the seats that modern high-tech look, very much inspired by the shoe and fashion industry. The decorative items that you see here are made from recycled plastics and window frames. And the last recycled room is indigo. Now this is a darker blue room. We have found a creative way to give an old pair of jeans a new purpose. Sounds beautiful, right? In fact, we even used that second waste from a recycling method from denim fibers. It's more like a pulp. It is actually made into a paper-like material that spans the distance of the instrument panel as a deco piece. This waste is exactly what we use to create that characterful decor and adds a very modern, sporty touch to the interior, which is, by the way, one of my favorite interior rooms. Now this gives you an overview of how different those seats and the interior are and their different expressions. So I always have a debate or ask question of my team, which one do you like the most? And there's always never a consensus. Everybody has a different opinion. Not everybody's the same. But we definitely provide at least one room that you'll love throughout the interior. Now for the exterior, we offer 5 vibrant colors. We have cloud blue, as you see here on stage, and we've also introduced a moss yellow. Now the moss yellow was inspired by the lichen that we see growing on the rocks on the western coast of the Bohuslän in Sweden. We also offer crystal white, vapor gray, and onyx black. My personal favorite is a torn between a crystal white or a vapor gray. I think the crystal white really shows that graphical design punch all around the car, offset with the black roof. Now, talking about centralization again, we continue that theme when having a look at the centralized touchscreen. It offers a mirrored